Let's say we want to rotate his foot outward so that it's like, you know, slightly outward tilted or rotated. We could, for example, select all of these. And then if we go here to the proportional editing mode, you can see if I make it bigger or smaller, you can see what it does. This tool is very, very useful if you have a big edit that you need to make. Usually you don't want to do this if you already have like this much geometry. But for example, if you have something like you want to move something, like let's say I put this here right here, it's very useful, especially if you combine it with the 3D cursor and then set the transform pivot to 3D cursor. You could do stuff like this. If you do some kind of action like moving, rotating and scaling, it has a certain fall off that you can see with the circle right here, and by scrolling you can increase it or decrease it. See, it rotates around the 3D cursor, which can be very useful for, let's say, horns, for example, or other stuff that is like hard to find a good pivot for. I tried it before without this on the median point. Median point basically means the middle of everything that is selected. So in this case, it's hard to see where it is, but if you just rotate it, you can kind of see where it is. It's like, or if you just press R, you can see where the dotted line is. That's where the middle point is. And it rotates around that point. But if you, for example, wanted to rotate around the leg, where it's connected, where the foot connects to the leg, you could, for example, also first select only one edge, then press Shift S, and then say cursor to selected. And now the 3D cursor is right in the middle of this. And then if we select everything again, we can see it rotates perfectly around the ankle. And now we can make the legs point outwards. Look at that. Scope mode is kind of like proportional editing, but just in its own mode and a bit more like brush, like you use brushes rather than just like doing it off of the selection. Rotations in this mode are a bit harder, like the one that I just showed you. So this is especially useful for doing big adjustments, like moving something somewhere else, or doing stuff like, oh, I want the whole leg, for example, to be a bit more inflated, let's call it. So we can use the inflate brush and then just make his legs a bit thicker. Like this, for example. This is where the scope mode is really, really useful, because you can do stuff like this very quickly without having to find a good selection first, find a good pivot point. You can do all of this without really having to worry about all that.